McKane even manages to swing the presidential election for William Henry Harrison. In Gravesend, his power is now absolute, and he occupies every post of importance in the local government. Nobody opens up so much as a lemonade stand without his say-so, without his approval. For the grand poobah, gambling, prostitution, con games, and corruption are not only a fact of life, but a necessity. Bribery, fraud, and rigged sales of real estate simply a part of doing business on the west end of the island. This stuff sadly still goes on today. A lot of what happened in the 19th century is still going on here in Coney Island, in Brighton Beach, in Sheepshead Bay in the 21st century. So things haven't changed all that much, folks. Now, the money for his corrupt police force comes from licenses issued by him. Licenses for just about anything and everything. For example, $50 for a concession stand and $250, a considerable amount of money at the time, for layouts with games. Even the restaurants, rides, and exhibitions on the west side must pay protection money to make McCain's, they have to pay to McKane and his corrupt Coney Island coppers. Even the residents of the Gut, that cluster of shacks and bungalows west of Ocean Parkway, must pay up just to go on living there. Cramped together in long, shallow, fire traps, the residents of the Gut, many of which are linked to the racetracks, they do lots of carousing, lots of partying at night, and pay up so that McCain's cops look the other way. All saloons, hotels, and eating establishments also hand out a hefty percentage each and every week, or else. With his police force, essentially a private thug army, in need of a few good men, so to speak, grifters, thieves, bouncers, pickpockets, and cutthroats file through McCain's headquarters on West 8th Street. This rogues gallery must first get licenses for Fleabag hotels, saloons, and gambling joints before joining the police force. The Hermitage Inn by the Coney Island Creek becomes the Gravesend Center for former criminal associates and new members of the corrupt Coney Island coppers. The new police sergeants are a source of crime and corruption for the township of Gravesend. Bribery and fraud are commonplace, and crooked dealings a way of life. New houses of prostitution and gambling joints offer not only sex, but faro, poker, and dice games, with each police officer getting his slice of the pie, his piece of the action. McCain's police force is composed of 100 hand-picked men like Joe Gorman, pickpocket, fence, and second-story man extraordinaire. Mr. Gorman's mugshot is actually in the files. He's number 329 of the Manhattan Police Department. Gorman enjoys being a copper. He gets to work outdoors. He is never alone. And he enjoys the power it gives him, power over other people's lives and livelihoods. Then we have John Leary, a former successful bank robber and rough-and-tumble barroom brawler. Leary goes into retirement at Coney and becomes a cop. He is fluent in Spanish, French, German, and Italian. As he patrols the streets, Leary forbids profanity or obscenity in the presence of women and bashes in the skull of any who dare defy him. He really enjoys being a cop. Now, we also have Dick Newton, a dapper, witty, and foxy sociopath, and his buddy Kenny Sutherland, a short, plump ex-bricklayer and bartender who could punch a man's jaw straight into his brain, a feat he accomplished on several occasions. Now, this dynamic duo were Chief McCain's police lieutenants, his special officers and tough devotees, who handed out the boss's orders with their fearsome lead-filled 3-foot-long Coney Island copper's deadly nightstick in hand. All 100 of McKane's hand-picked Coney Island cops are loyal to him. They respect him, they fear him, and they admire him. To these vermin in blue, their chief was Mr. Big Stuff and the king of cool. McKane works endlessly on their behalf, and his men can always find him in his office on West 8th Street. Find him early in the morning and late at night, ready, willing, and able to assist them. McKane gives them advice, settles their disputes, and loans them cash when they need it, at a percentage, of course. Now, in the summer months, McKane lingers at his Coney Island Police headquarters long after midnight. In 1891, he builds the Coney Island Courthouse in Moorish style, a sandstone brick fortress-like structure with turrets, minarets, and even a tower. The Gravesend residents soon give the sinister-looking building a nickname, Little Brown Jug. The Coney Island Magistrates Court was upstairs, while the police station was on the ground floor. The building would later become the home of the 60th Precinct after the consolidation of the township of Gravesend into the city of Bklyn. The building was in use for decades, and I used to walk past it when I was a strapping young lad back in the 1960s. Sadly, the building was torn down in 1971, and a soulless structure was erected in its place. McKane was the law, and his every word was obeyed, just like gospel. Sometimes, to prove a point, he would reverse the judgments of his own hand-picked justices of the peace. "I am the law," says McKane. Now, any and all criminals and thieves who desire to set up shop in Gravesend must first get the, proper authorization from McKane and his police force in order to operate. They, of course, got a considerable piece of the action or a slice of the pie. If you didn't get the proper authorization from the chief and went into operation without the Grand Poobah's say-so, you were as good as dead. One of McKane's favorite pastimes at the police station was to spank, paddle, and whip, as well as to punish and sentence. He would wound a thread tightly around a steel rod and lay it on thick, lay it on with gusto, on, plump dumpling buttocks. Anyone who took his fancy, male or female, it didn't matter to McKane. He just liked smacking big butts and turning them into a bloody pulp. McKane also enjoyed dispossessing little old ladies, especially widows. And the chief of, the Coney Island Police did it gleefully. He enjoyed it, throwing elderly people out on the street. This gave him nothing but intense pleasure. A sadistic and violent man, McKane would simply lift his hand in a certain gesture, and one of his coppers would instantly send a victim sprawling with his nightstick. The beating would continue as McKane lifted his hand again and again. The cop would not stop until the victim agreed that he had deserved what he got and had been properly punished. "Thank you, sir. May I have another?" There were plenty of eyewitnesses to these violent shenanigans, but nobody would dare to object. Anybody who did have a sense of decency and spoke up would soon lose their home, their livelihood, and quickly be pauperized. The businessmen of Gravesend liked McKane. They loved him, in fact, and they look the other way. After all, the chief of the Coney Island Police Department approves and sponsors development, and their establishments were thriving and making lots and lots of money. And money is what it's all about, folks. McKane paved Surf Avenue, and enhances the value of real estate. The saloons, hotels,